Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
What if the secret to wealth isn't in your job, but in you? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to succeed effortlessly while others stay stuck, no matter how hard they work? The answer may surprise you, and it starts with shifting your focus inward, not outward. If you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. That's the truth. But if you work hard on yourself, you can create a fortune. And I'm not just talking about financial wealth, though that often follows. I mean a fortune in relationships, in health, in purpose, in peace of mind, and in the quality of your daily life. A total life fortune. The marketplace is designed to reward performance. It offers average pay for average effort, and that's fair. But let's be honest, none of us wakes up saying, I think I'll be average today. Nobody dreams of being mediocre. We all want more. We want to live with meaning, stand out, and achieve excellence. And to experience extraordinary rewards, we must become extraordinary individuals. One of the most overlooked truths is this: income rarely surpasses personal development. Yet, many people have it backward. They think, if only I could earn more money, then I could finally live better, give more, and become who I want to be. But it doesn't work that way. The formula is simple and powerful. We get paid for the value we bring to the marketplace. If we want to earn more, we must become more valuable. And how do we become more valuable? By serving more people or by serving people better? But here's the catch. We can't serve others better until we've developed ourselves further. The only way to grow your income is to grow yourself. I'm often asked, where do I start with personal growth? And I always answer, start with the basics. You don't need to do extraordinary things to achieve extraordinary results. What you need is to do the ordinary things with extraordinary consistency and quality. Step 1, become a reader, a serious reader, because the books you don't read can't help you. I remember something my mentor, Mr. Skay, used to tell me that changed my life. He once told me, Jim, don't just read the easy stuff. That stuck with me. Sometimes, we get so comfortable consuming simple material that we trick ourselves into thinking we've mastered something. But true growth doesn't come from staying in your comfort zone. It comes from stretching your mind. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself with more complex or thought-provoking material. After all, reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. If your mental muscles aren't being stretched, they're not growing. For the first 25 years of my life, I read the Bible and just a few other books. But then I met Mr. Skay, and everything changed. He handed me a couple of book recommendations. I started reading them. And those books changed the trajectory of my life. Just 2 or 3 books. Don't overlook this truth. A few small disciplines practiced every single day can transform your entire life. You might not notice it immediately, but give it 90 days, or a year, or 3 years, and the difference will be remarkable. The second habit that's had a massive impact on my life: keeping a journal. Write things down. Capture the ideas that strike you during reading, during conversations, even random moments in everyday life. Don't rely on your memory alone. It's far too easy to forget the best insights. Writing forces you to slow down and clarify your thinking. It turns ideas into actions. Third, become an observer. Open your eyes and your heart to the lessons all around you. Don't just go through life, grow through life. Be like a sponge, soaking in wisdom from every experience, every person, every moment. Mr. Skay used to tell me, Jim, don't be a follower, be a student. That distinction matters more than you might think. A follower says, tell me what to do, and they'll likely follow instructions without fully understanding the reasons behind them. But a student? A student wants to learn the why and the how. A student says, teach me so I can think for myself, apply what I've learned, and make better choices. And fourth, spend time with people who stretch you, who challenge you, who inspire you to grow. There's a saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So ask yourself, who are you around the most? Are they lifting you up or holding you back? If you want to earn more, learn more. Seek out people who are already living the kind of life you aspire to. Let their habits, their mindset, and their perspective rub off on you. Success leaves clues. If you're around the right people, you'll pick them up without even realizing it. Let me share a moment that changed the way I saw the world. When I was a young man, I had the unexpected opportunity to have dinner at the home of a millionaire. At that point in my life, I had never stepped foot inside a millionaire's home. It was uncharted territory, and I wasn't sure what to expect. But I can tell you this: It left an impression that stayed with me ever since. We sat down at a beautifully set dining table, and right away, something felt unusual. The serving dishes were completely empty. I glanced around, slightly confused. In the back of my mind, I thought, well, I always heard rich folks were a little eccentric, but empty plates? Then it hit me, we weren't being served. We were serving ourselves directly from the kitchen. It was family style. Everyone got up, helped themselves, and then passed the food around. It was simple, humble. But what really struck me wasn't the meal, it was the conversation. As we ate, this millionaire family didn't talk about gossip or the latest television shows. They weren't focused on trivial small talk. Instead, they discussed ideas. They talked about the books they were reading, the concepts they were wrestling with, and the projects they were building. It was like a mini think tank right at the dinner table, and it made me reflect on my own upbringing. At my family dinners, we mostly talked about the weather, whether rain was coming, or if the tractor would be ready for the season. That evening, I realized something profound. It wasn't just about money. What made this family different wasn't their wealth. It was their mindset, how they used their time, and what they chose to value. That dinner opened my eyes. I left their home with a decision burning in my chest. I needed to change. Not just my financial future, but the way I thought. I needed to shift my mindset and start working harder on myself than I had ever worked on anything before. And here's the truth. Personal development doesn't have to be complicated. But that doesn't mean it's easy. It requires real discipline. You know what discipline really is? It's giving yourself an internal command and following through on it, even when it's not convenient. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret? Regret weighs tons. Always. The temporary discomfort of staying committed to your goals will never be as heavy as the long-term weight of wishing you had done more. Let me ask you a simple question. If you had a garden, would you only tend to it once a month? Of course not. You'd weed it, water it, check on it regularly, nurturing it day after day. Now think about your life the same way. Your mind, your health, your relationships, your character. These are your garden. And they require consistent care, not occasional attention. Every part of your life is like a garden. It needs consistent care and attention. Neglect it, and weeds will grow. Nurture it, and it will flourish. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Jim, I'm too busy for all this self-development stuff. But let me ask you this. Would you say you're too busy driving to stop for gas? Of course not. Because if you never stop to refuel, eventually, you'll find yourself stuck, stranded, and unable to move forward. That's exactly what happens when you don't invest in yourself. So make no mistake, you're never too busy for self-development. The real question is, how much longer can you afford to keep running on empty? The secret lies in carving out time each day, even if it's just 1 hour. Wake up a little earlier if needed. Turn your morning commute into a mobile classroom by listening to educational audio. Trade 30 minutes of TV at night for 30 minutes of reading. These small shifts, these seemingly minor investments in yourself, will compound and deliver enormous results over time. Here's a powerful truth. There are only 2 ways to create lasting change in your life. Either something new enters your world, or something new emerges from within you. Since we can't always control what comes into our lives, we must focus on what we can control, what we bring forth. That means building new skills, adopting new mindsets, practicing new disciplines, and strengthening new capabilities. I've met so many people who proudly say, Jim, I've got 20 years of experience. But when you really look closer, they've been repeating the same 1 year of experience 20 times. There's no growth in that. No evolution. Just repetition on autopilot. Don't let that be your story. Let this be the year you finally break the cycle. The year you draw a line in the sand and decide to commit, really commit, to your personal growth. Let this be the season you push yourself to work harder on your own development than you do on your daily tasks or job description. I'll never forget the wisdom Mr. Skay shared with me. He looked me in the eye and said, Jim, if you want to be wealthy and happy, learn this one lesson well. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And that truth has guided my entire life ever since. At first, I didn't fully grasp what Mr. Skay meant when he told me to work harder on myself than on my job. But eventually, the truth clicked. One day, he asked me a simple yet powerful question. Jim, how much money do you have saved? I replied, somewhat embarrassed, none. He paused for a moment, looked me straight in the eye, and asked, who sold you on that plan? That question hit me like a ton of bricks. I had never seen it that way. I used to believe my financial situation was simply the result of bad luck, the economy, or external circumstances. But what he showed me that day was life-changing. My financial reality was not caused by the world around me. It was shaped by the philosophy I was living by. The way I thought, the way I made decisions, the way I saw opportunity or scarcity, all of it stemmed from my internal beliefs. For the longest time, I blamed everything outside of myself for my lack of success. I thought the government, the economy, my boss, or even my upbringing were holding me back. But then I heard a single line from Mr. Skay that flipped everything upside down. Income seldom exceeds personal development. That statement was so profound, I've never forgotten it. I still remember exactly where I was when he said it. I was 25 years old, sitting across from him, trying to make sense of my future. He looked at me and said, "Jim, if you want to have more, you simply have to become more." That's when it hit me. Success is not something you chase. Because the more you chase it, the more it runs away. Success isn't something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. If you want your life to improve, you must improve. If you want your results to change, you must change. If you want your circumstances to get better, you have to start with becoming better yourself. And when you change, truly change, everything around you begins to shift. I remember walking into my home one day, filled with new energy, and I told my wife, "Honey, I'm going to get rich." She smiled and said, "Jim, we're already rich." I chuckled and replied, No, you don't understand. I mean really rich." She looked at me and said, "Well, as long as it doesn't take too much time." But the truth is, it does take time. It takes time to build something meaningful. It takes time to build a better life. But most importantly, it takes time to build a better you. And that is the best investment you will ever make. So how exactly do you begin working on yourself? Let me share a few more strategies that changed everything for me. First, develop a strong, positive philosophy. Train yourself to become a possibilitarian. Someone who sees opportunities where others see obstacles. Stop focusing on what's broken. Instead, put your energy into what can be improved, what's going right, and what's possible. Your personal philosophy is the rudder of your life. It's what steers you. Think of it like the sail on a boat. The same wind blows on us all, the winds of change, challenge, and opportunity. But the difference in where we land isn't the wind. It's the set of the sail, and you control that sail. Second, learn to communicate effectively. The ability to express your thoughts clearly, confidently, and persuasively can elevate your value in the marketplace more than you might imagine. Whether you're selling an idea, building a team, or inspiring someone else, your words matter. So learn to speak with purpose and with power. Once I started learning how to clearly express myself, everything began to shift. My income started to rise, my influence expanded, and new doors began opening all around me. It was as if the world finally started responding to the clarity of my voice. Why? Because when your communication improves, so do your opportunities. The marketplace doesn't just reward hard work. It rewards clear, confident, and persuasive communication. One of the most powerful lessons I ever learned was to become fascinated instead of frustrated. The next time something doesn't go your way, resist the urge to get irritated. Instead, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What's the lesson buried in this challenge? You see, frustration can make you shut down, but fascination? That can light a fire in you. It can push you to keep going, to find solutions, to grow stronger in the face of adversity. Another principle that changed my life was taking 100% responsibility. No blaming, no finger pointing, no excuses. The moment you fully own your life is the moment you start moving toward a better one. As long as you're still blaming others, as long as you're saying it's their fault, you'll stay stuck. Progress begins where blame ends. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a man who blamed the government for all of his problems. He went on and on about how policies and politicians had ruined his life. So I asked him, "How long have you lived in America?" He replied, "All my life." And I thought to myself, well, so have I. Same government, same system, but our results were completely different. What does that tell you? It tells you the truth no one wants to admit. It's not the government. It's not the economy. It's not what happens to you that shapes your life. It's what you choose to do about what happens. That's where your future is written, not in circumstances, but in your response to them. Now let's talk about setting goals. Real, meaningful goals. Most people spend their lives focused on minor things. They major in the minors. They chase distractions and short-term fixes instead of committing to what truly matters. But working on yourself means knowing what's important and pouring your energy into those priorities. And here's something powerful. Write down your goals. Don't just think about what you want. Write it. There's something almost magical about putting your dreams on paper. It forces clarity. It sharpens your vision. And it begins to program your subconscious mind for achievement. Don't just say, I want more money. Right? I will earn $100,000 this year. Don't just say, I want better health. Right? I will walk 30 minutes every day. Or, I will lose 20 pounds by June. Once I began setting specific goals, everything changed. Before that, I was just drifting, going wherever life pushed me. But the problem with drifting is, you never drift uphill. You only go one direction, downhill. Without direction, life will pull you away from purpose. It takes focus, clarity, and intent to move forward and upward. Moving your life in a positive direction starts with clear, intentional goals. But here's something most people overlook. Goals aren't just about getting more. They're about becoming more. The real reward of achieving your goals isn't the money, the status, or the material things. It's the person you have to become in order to earn them. That inner transformation is the true value of setting ambitious goals. Think about it like this. Let's say you set a goal to double your current income. At first, it might seem like a financial target, but very quickly you'll realize it's a personal development challenge in disguise. To reach that new income level, you'll probably need to develop new skills, strengthen your discipline, build better relationships, manage your time more effectively, and possibly overcome self-doubt or fear. You'll be pushed to grow in ways you hadn't anticipated. And by the time you reach that income, you've become a different version of yourself. Wiser, stronger, more capable. That's the real win. Now, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something just as important, your attitude. Your attitude, more than anything else, determines your altitude. It's the fuel that powers everything you do. You can have great goals, the right skills, and even the right opportunities, but if your attitude is poor, you'll struggle to go anywhere meaningful. Ask yourself honestly, is my attitude helping me move forward, or is it quietly holding me back? A good attitude is like a high-performance engine. When it's in top shape, everything else in your life runs smoother, faster, better. But when it breaks down, even the best tools won't get you far. And here's the beautiful part. Your attitude is 100% within your control. Unlike external events or circumstances, your mindset is something you can shape at any moment. I'll never forget a moment with my mentor that completely changed the way I looked at things. I was venting about how much I had to pay in taxes, saying, "These taxes are killing me." He looked at me calmly and asked, "With your current mindset, could you even handle more money?" That question stopped me in my tracks. I hadn't realized it, but I had a limiting belief, one that saw money as a burden instead of a blessing. That single conversation forced me to reevaluate my entire relationship with money. I started shifting my thinking. I began to see money not as something to complain about, but as a tool, a powerful resource for creating value, for making an impact, and for building a better life for myself and others. And you know what happened? My income started to rise. Not because the economy suddenly improved, or because my company decided to randomly give me a raise, but because something within me shifted. I changed. My thinking changed. My habits changed. And with that inner transformation, my outer results began to follow. That's the law of attraction at work, not in some magical sense, but in the most practical way possible. What you become is what you begin to attract. So, if you want to attract better opportunities, better relationships, and better results, start by becoming a better version of yourself. When I speak about working on yourself, I'm not just referring to building wealth or career success. True self-development is about becoming a whole, balanced, well-rounded person. Think about it. What's the use of having money in the bank if your health is falling apart? What's the value of professional success if your personal relationships are crumbling? Health is wealth. Deep, meaningful relationships are wealth. Peace of mind, a calm spirit, spiritual connection. Those are priceless forms of wealth too. Too often, people chase financial goals with such intensity that they overlook these other pillars of life. Then, one day, they wake up and realize they've reached the top of the financial ladder, but they're lonely, stressed, and disconnected from their values. Don't fall into that trap. Set goals that nurture every important part of your life. Aim to strengthen your body, to deepen your connections, to grow in wisdom and inner peace. Here's a truth worth remembering. Life tends to reward you in proportion to what you truly deserve. And how do you become more deserving? You earn it, not through luck, but through consistent self-investment, through discipline, through never settling for being just okay, when you know you're capable of more. That's where the real growth happens. The key to having more is becoming more. And the path to becoming more is grounded in growth. You grow by learning, by stretching, by doing what challenges you. Learning more begins with exposure to new ideas, to different people, to bigger visions. And exposure grows through action, by taking steps, even small ones, into unfamiliar but promising territory. But let me make something very clear. Personal development is not about turning into someone else. It's not about copying someone else's life. It's about becoming the truest, highest version of you. It's about discovering your own strengths and gifts, and then expanding them to their fullest. Because when you lean into your potential, unapologetically and consistently, you don't just transform your own life, you influence everyone around you. Greatness isn't always about fame, fortune, or public recognition, though those things might come as a byproduct. True greatness is rooted in your character, in the depth of your contributions, and in living with purpose that transcends personal gain. And that kind of greatness, it can only be reached through consistent, intentional self-growth. I remember when I first began this journey. I was just a broke, embarrassed farm boy from Idaho. Nothing fancy, no impressive background, no unique skills that I could boast about. I didn't come from privilege or connections. But what I did have was a spark, a deep desire to learn, to change, and to become someone better than who I was. That was the seed. And then, something life-changing happened. I met a man who saw something in me I couldn't yet see in myself. He believed in me at a time when I had very little belief in who I could become. He told me a simple, powerful truth. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I didn't dismiss it. I listened, and I took it to heart. So I began. I started reading, really reading. I went to seminars that stretched my thinking. I started surrounding myself with people who were already living the kind of life I aspired to build. I began writing in a journal to process what I was learning and setting clear goals to measure my progress. Slowly but surely, things started to shift. Yes, my income increased, but more importantly, I changed. My mindset expanded. My self-discipline strengthened. My confidence grew. And let me be clear, that process hasn't stopped. Not even close. I'm still on the path. Still learning, still stumbling, still getting up and pushing forward. That's one of the greatest joys of life. This incredible, ongoing journey of becoming. There's no final destination when it comes to personal development. There's no day where you wake up and say, "That's it. I've arrived." Growth is a lifelong pursuit, an ever-evolving adventure. And here's the truth most people avoid. Working on yourself isn't always smooth sailing. It can be tough. At times, it requires facing parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. It means admitting your flaws, owning up to your past mistakes, and being honest about what's not working. It demands courage, because stepping outside your comfort zone can feel like walking into the unknown. Sometimes, it also requires you to release old patterns, beliefs, or relationships that no longer serve your higher purpose. Of thinking and habits, and outdated patterns that no longer serve your growth. But here's the truth you can't ignore. The pain of staying the same is, in the long run, far more damaging than the discomfort of change. Comfort might feel good in the short term, but it quietly kills progress. Don't let your craving for ease today steal the incredible future you're capable of building tomorrow. I often say this. There are two kinds of pain in life. The pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. It's temporary. It's manageable. But the pain of regret? That one weighs tons, and it lingers. So choose discipline. Choose growth. Choose to stretch and evolve. Yes, it takes effort, but compared to the life you gain in return, it's a small, worthwhile price. Now, I know what some people might be thinking. I just don't have time for this personal development stuff. And to that, I always respond, you don't have time not to develop yourself. Because here's the simple truth. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. Nothing changes unless you do. Time is your most precious asset. Every single person, regardless of background, wealth, or status, gets 24 hours a day. The difference lies in how we choose to use those hours. High achievers don't magically have more time. They invest it. They prioritize self-growth, learning, and personal development. Meanwhile, those who remain stuck often spend their time on things that feel urgent but offer little long-term value. So ask yourself this powerful question. Based on your current habits, your current level of commitment to growth, and how you're investing in yourself, where will you be 5 years from now? Will you be roughly in the same place? repeating the same patterns? Or will you have transformed your life? Let me introduce you to something I call the slight edge. It's the idea that small, consistent disciplines practiced daily compound into massive results over time. Imagine this. Reading just 10 pages of a quality book every single day adds up to about 15 books in 1 year. Now multiply that, 75 books over 5 years. That's a personal library of wisdom, inspiration, and strategies most people never touch. In just 5 years. Now pause and really think about that. Imagine the depth of knowledge, the practical insights, and the timeless wisdom you could absorb from reading 75 carefully selected books. And all of that transformation starts with something as simple as reading 10 pages a day, just a 15-minute investment. That's the quiet power of small disciplines. On the surface, they seem insignificant, too easy to matter. But over time, their cumulative impact is nothing short of extraordinary. Here's the tricky part. The things that are easy to do are also incredibly easy not to do. It's easy to pick up a book and read 10 pages, but it's just as easy to skip it. It's easy to go for a 30-minute walk, yet it's just as easy to say, I'll do it tomorrow. It's easy to save a few dollars each week, but just as easily, you can convince yourself that it's not worth it. That's why the gap between success and failure isn't usually the result of one big moment. It's subtle. It's the accumulation of small, seemingly minor decisions made consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month. So how do you make sure you're choosing wisely in these quiet moments? It all comes down to having a strong enough why. When your reasons are powerful enough, when your vision is clear and deeply personal, you'll discover the discipline to push through, even on days when your motivation is running low. So what's your why? What fuels you? What stirs your soul and gets you out of bed in the morning? What would make all the effort, all the sacrifice, truly worthwhile? Get clear on that, because once your why is solid, the how becomes much more manageable. And here's something that might catch you off guard. Working harder on yourself than you do on your job doesn't mean you'll work less at your job. On the contrary, you'll probably become far more effective, focused, and energized in your work. Why? Because when you grow as a person, you bring greater value to everything you touch. You become sharper, more competent, more confident. You solve problems faster, adapt better, and inspire others through your example. Instead of getting stuck in obstacles, you start to see opportunities hidden in challenges. You become someone others look to for direction. And I've noticed something remarkable over the years. The more energy, time, and care I've invested in my personal growth, the more doors have opened in every area of my life. Come my way. It's almost as if the universe leans in to support those who are serious about becoming better. Doors you never noticed before suddenly open. The right people cross your path. Resources and opportunities begin to align with your efforts. It feels like magic, but in truth, it's simply the natural result of intentional personal growth. Now, let's shift focus to one of the most crucial elements of that growth, learning from failure. Let's face it, nobody enjoys failing. It stings. It humbles us. But when viewed through the right lens, failure becomes one of life's most valuable teachers. The real question isn't if you'll experience failure, because you will. The real question is, how will you respond when it happens? Will you let failure define who you are, or will you allow it to refine who you're becoming? Will you use it as a convenient excuse to give up, or will you use it as a powerful reason to rise higher? Will you see it as proof of your limitations, or as an invitation to surpass them? When you dedicate yourself to working harder on yourself than on your job, you cultivate the inner strength to recover from setbacks. You gain the clarity to extract the lessons hidden within the pain. You build the courage to try again, not blindly, but with greater wisdom and insight. Failure no longer feels like a personal indictment. It becomes a teacher, a guide, a stepping stone. I remember early in my journey, I dove into a business venture full of hope and ambition. But things didn't go as planned. I lost money. I lost time. And truthfully, I lost a bit of my confidence. For a moment, I wanted to throw in the towel and say, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But then I stopped and asked myself, what can I learn from this experience? What mistakes did I make? What would I do differently if given another chance? That shift, from blame to responsibility, was pivotal. Instead of letting that failure crush me, I allowed it to shape me. I went back to work, not just on the business, but on me. I studied harder, refined my skills, adjusted my mindset. And sure enough, my next venture went far better. Not because the market had changed, not because luck was on my side, but because I had changed. I had grown. I had evolved. That's when I truly understood. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about becoming the kind of person who can rise from it stronger than before. Of luck or circumstance, it's a matter of deliberate choice and meaningful change. You must choose. Choose to work on yourself. Choose to pour into your own growth. And choose to become more today than you were yesterday. And when you do, your external world begins to shift in response. Your circumstances don't magically transform overnight, but step by step, they improve as you improve. Now, let's dive into another key pillar of personal development, one that's often underestimated but incredibly powerful: the company you keep. There's a popular saying, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." And it's absolutely true. The people you surround yourself with play a massive role in shaping your thoughts, your behaviors, your goals, and ultimately, your outcomes. If you're striving to grow, then spend time with people who are committed to growing too. If you want to succeed, align yourself with those who are achieving real success. If you want to stay positive, keep close to people who radiate optimism and resilience. The influence of those around you seeps into your mindset, whether you realize it or not. Now, this doesn't mean you have to cut ties with lifelong friends just because they're on a different journey. But it does mean you need to be intentional. Actively seek out relationships that uplift you, push you, and help you evolve. Find mentors who've walked the path you admire. Join a mastermind group. Attend seminars and workshops where achievers gather. Or even immerse yourself in biographies. Reading about great men and women throughout history can connect you with their wisdom and strength, even from afar. Surrounding yourself with excellence, even indirectly, will begin to shape your identity in profound ways. Now, there's one final element I want to touch on. Something that's often overlooked in discussions about success and growth, and that's integrity. Integrity is about doing what's right, even when no one's watching. It's about following through on your word, honoring your commitments, telling the truth even when it's hard, treating people with dignity, and aligning your actions with your deepest values. Why is this so crucial? Because without integrity, any success you achieve is superficial. It's an empty shell. It may look impressive on the outside, but it lacks substance within. You might accumulate wealth, gain influence, or even earn fame. But without integrity, true fulfillment remains out of reach. Eventually, a lack of integrity begins to unravel even the most impressive forms of external success. People stop trusting you. Business relationships become strained. Friends grow distant. Reputation fades. Working on yourself isn't just about sharpening your skills or expanding your knowledge. It's about shaping your character. I've witnessed incredibly gifted, intelligent, and hardworking individuals fall short, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked integrity. On the other hand, I've seen people with only average talent rise far beyond expectations because they were honest, reliable, and true to their word. Over time, it becomes clear, character matters more than cleverness. So, as you invest in yourself, don't just measure your progress by your accomplishments. Measure it by who you're becoming. Are you turning into someone you're genuinely proud of? Are you building the kind of trust that others can rely on? Are you adding real value to the people around you? That naturally brings us to another vital truth. Real success includes contribution. It's never just about how much you can earn or what you can gain. It's about what you choose to give. As your journey of self-growth brings you to higher levels of achievement, begin to look outward. Ask yourself, how can I share what I've learned? Who can I lift up as I climb? Mentor someone who reminds you of where you started. Support a cause that stirs your heart. Extend a hand to those still finding their footing, just as someone may have once done for you. Here's one of life's great paradoxes. The more you give, the more you seem to receive. Not because you're giving in order to get. That would be manipulation, not generosity. But because giving expands you. It opens your heart. It broadens your perspective. It builds new connections. It infuses your success with deeper meaning and a sense of purpose that money alone can't buy. I still remember when I began to experience my first real financial wins. I made a decision then to give back, to support causes I truly believed in. And then something remarkable happened. I found myself feeling wealthier when I gave than I ever had while earning. There was a richer kind of fulfillment, something that no paycheck could replicate. Giving brought a sense of purpose, a quiet joy, a connection to something bigger than just financial gain. It reminded me that real wealth isn't just about how much you keep. It's about how much you're able to contribute and the lives you touch along the way. And here's the key. Don't wait for some magical milestone of success to start giving. Begin now. Give your time. Share your knowledge. Offer your encouragement. Extend support where you can. Even small acts of generosity, done consistently, create ripple effects that go far beyond what you can imagine. And as you grow, financially, intellectually, emotionally, your capacity to give grows right along with you. You'll soon realize that giving isn't a sacrifice or a subtraction from your success. It's an essential ingredient of it. True success is never complete until it includes contribution. Now, let's return to where this entire journey began. Learning to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. This idea isn't just a clever mantra for chasing career advancement. It's a guiding principle for living a richer, fuller, more meaningful life. It's a call to never stop growing, to never settle, to keep pushing the boundaries of your own potential, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. The beauty of personal development is that it's one of the few areas in life completely within your control. You may not be able to dictate the stock market. You may not get to decide what others do or how the world turns. But you can decide to grow. You can choose to learn. You can commit to improving yourself every single day. And here's the magic of that decision. When you change, your world begins to change. As you evolve, your opportunities expand. As you develop your talents, your potential multiplies. When you raise your standards, everything around you starts to rise too. Your relationships, your income, your peace of mind, even your influence. So, let me ask you something. What are you doing right now to invest in yourself? What books are shaping your thinking? What new skills are you working on? What small habits are you cultivating every day that will take your life to the next level? So let me ask you, what disciplines are you committing to each day? What goals are driving you forward? What kind of relationships are you intentionally cultivating? And how are you choosing to contribute to others? These questions matter far more than the usual "how's your job going?" or "how's the economy treating you?" Because, in truth, your job and your experience of the economy are often just reflections of who you are, how you've grown, and the value you bring to the world. This is why you must learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Make personal development your top priority. Pour into yourself. Consistently, passionately, and intentionally. Become a lifelong learner, someone who is always evolving, always growing, always reaching for something higher. And don't stop there. Become a lifelong contributor, someone who gives back, uplifts others, and makes a meaningful impact. When you commit to that path, everything begins to shift. Your success, your joy, and your influence on the world around you will expand in ways you never thought possible. Let me challenge you with something bold. Make a decision right now to dedicate at least 1 hour each day to your own personal development. That could mean reading a powerful book, listening to an inspiring podcast, learning a new skill, or practicing a new habit. Just 1 hour a day. That adds up to 7 hours a week, over 365 hours a year. That's the equivalent of more than 9 full-time work weeks solely devoted to becoming a better version of yourself. Now pause and picture the kind of transformation that could bring. Imagine who you'll be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That small, daily choice compounds into a massive life shift. And here's an unexpected bonus. When you focus on developing yourself, your work life improves too. You bring more value to your job. You start seeing new opportunities, solving problems faster, and performing at a much higher level. You might even find that your current job transforms before your eyes, or leads you to a far better one, simply because you have changed. I'll give you an example. I once knew a man who worked as a salesman. He was good enough to get by, but not much more. His results were average, his income modest. One day, he made a decision. He began investing in himself. He read books on sales psychology and human behavior. He dove into communication training. He attended every seminar he could afford. He even found a mentor and started applying what he learned every single day. He sharpened his skills and completely shifted his mindset. Within just 2 years, he became the top salesperson in his entire company. By year 3, he had been promoted to sales manager. And by the 5th year, he had launched his own business. Today, he's financially independent, doing work that fulfills him, work that allows him to help others achieve their goals too. So what changed? It wasn't the economy. It wasn't the company. It wasn't even the product he was selling. The transformation came from within. He changed. He made the decision to work harder on himself than he did on his job. And that inner transformation reshaped not only his career, but his entire life. This isn't just a one-off story. I've witnessed this same pattern play out time and time again across countless industries and professions. The individual who consistently invests in their own development will, over time, outgrow their present circumstances. And when that happens, they naturally move on to bigger opportunities, greater rewards, and a more impactful life. That's why it's so dangerous to fall into the trap of thinking, if only I had a better job, then I'd be more successful. That kind of thinking puts your future in someone else's hands. Instead, ask yourself, how can I become better, no matter what my job is right now? Because here's the truth. When you become better, your job gets better. Better people create better jobs for themselves. Better people attract better opportunities. Better people don't wait. They transform average circumstances into extraordinary results. It all comes down to value. The marketplace doesn't reward effort. It rewards value. That's a foundational principle of economics. If you want greater rewards, you must become more valuable. And the most powerful way to increase your value? By becoming more skilled, more disciplined, more focused, and more resourceful. In other words, by becoming more you. Think about someone you deeply admire, someone who's achieved massive success. What truly sets them apart? Is it just luck? Was it all about knowing the right people? Being in the right place at the right time? Or was it something more? More often than not, those who succeed at the highest levels have spent years, decades even, working diligently on themselves. They've built strong habits, deep knowledge, a resilient mindset, and an unwavering character. Because success doesn't happen by accident. It leaves clues. Are you paying attention? 26:36. Those clues, study them, apply them. But remember that the outer results come from inner work. The success you see on the outside is a reflection of the development that's happened on the inside. So let me emphasize again, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. This isn't about neglecting your job. It's about recognizing that your job is just one expression of who you are. If you want a better job, become a better you. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want better relationships, become a better friend. 27:04. Partner, parent, colleague. If you want better health, become someone who understands and practices good health habits. If you want more wealth, become someone who understands and applies financial principles. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. The key to having more is becoming more. I'll leave you with this final thought. Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. The decisions you make and the actions you take today. 27:33. Are setting in motion forces that will shape your tomorrow. The books you read, or don't read, the skills you develop, or don't develop, the relationships you build, or don't build, the habits you form, or don't form, all these choices are creating your future right now. So choose wisely, choose growth, choose to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And watch as your job, your income, your relationships, your health, your happiness, and your life transform before your eyes. Thank you for your time. This evening, remember, for things to change you must. 28:02. Change. For things to get better, you must get better. For things to improve, you must improve. You must improve. When you improve, everything improves for you. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, and success will be attracted to you like a magnet. It's one of the greatest discoveries I've ever made, and I believe it will be the same for you. Thank you.